can do that. So when we do something, we should walk the talk. It is not enough to mount sound bites and all of that for the world to hear that you are preaching, come back to Nigeria. How will people come back to Nigeria when the environment is not conducive, it's not convivial for them to come back here and survive and thrive? It doesn't make sense. This is one too many. What is ASU asking for that we cannot give? We have to keep spending money on frivolous things.
It's one too many. It's one too many.
It's one too many. Honestly.
It's one too many. Sorry, please. Go ahead, Fina.
I actually expected ASU to have been back on such move since, not now. Yes, reason is we've been hearing this back and forth, not just from this administration. Imagine something that was negotiated when the likes of Goodluck was there, implementation became an issue. Buhari came on board also and couldn't implement it. Now we have this other administration that budgeted 3.5 trillion naira in our 2025 budget for education, mapping out 826.9 billion naira solely for infrastructure, maybe building of new structures and all that, which happens to be 7% alone of our budget against what UNESCO projected to be 15 to 20%, what it should be. I'm talking about education budget. And, I don't expect magic to happen because I know within myself that from the budget allocation already, they've already fallen short. And that speaks to how the government, especially here in Nigeria, how we place where the value we place on our education. Moses pointed out that some of the persons who happens to have a say in Nigeria have private universities now. And not just that too, some of the political elected officers don't have their children in Nigeria. Yes, they don't have their children schooling.
So they don't care.
They don't care. They have their children abroad, schooling, living larger than life and all that. So what is their business if you're to a backward strike? It's none of their business. You understand what I'm saying now? And that is the reason they will keep on going back and forth with ASU. When ASU was on strike 2020, I was somewhere, and I could recall then I had some persons from ASU to come talk to Nigerians. And when I asked the question, I asked one of them, I said, then was under the leadership of Emmanuel Sodoke. I said, are you people planning on going back or calling off the strike without your demands being carried out by the government? One of the man there says, even when my child is affected, I cannot use because of my child. I cannot play with my child's future over what we are demanding. And I said, okay, imagine your child going back to school and something happened. And because of the dilapidated nature of the structure in their school, maybe one thing or the other happened and the school collapsed and your child happens to be there. Won't it be jeopardizing the life of your child over cutting short this? And he said, no, but some persons don't understand it that way. Some students are taking lectures under trees. Yes. I could recall while I was in school too, I happened to be one of the persons that were talking about the fact that school buildings were not that good. And the fact that we have over 500 students using LT, meant specifically for like 100 students, lecture theater halls. And imagine when students are going through that stress or that kind of stress for them to gain knowledge, what type of knowledge are they going to get? Half baked if you ask me. So if I, for one, I also happen to be, part of the person that suffered ASU strike. 1 whole year, wasted 1 year at home. Yes. And I could recall that when I returned back to school, it was more like what is really happening. I would have graduated and go home. What am I still doing here?
Of course.
But I think it's high time the government look into the demands of ASU. And also, it's high time ASU, because it's going to get to a point, ASU will lose its relevance, become like NLC. Some persons are beginning to say that they will come to talk about strike, and when their heads are being called to settle them, they will go back. I wouldn't want them to lose the value they have already.
Like Chukwuma rightly said, the only reason they call it off most times is because
pressure
from parents.
And because they care about the students.
Now, care more by demanding and insisting that whatever thing your demands are
like
is
what happened in 2020. If ASU wants to say, okay, let's just insist on our demands, let's just hold on to our guns till government responds, we might have a strike that will extend beyond 1 year.
At least we'll not have another strike. We'll not have a repeated strike again.
Solving the problem.
We'll not have another strike again. It's better, if you ask me.
It's a collective sacrifice we have to make as Nigerians.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate, really.
Quite unfortunate. Let's move away from that. Now, a fresh legal suit has been filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja, seeking to stop former President Goodluck Jonathan from contesting the 2027 presidential elections. Well, I don't know why people are parrying for other person's headache, according to what we say in our local parlance here. Now, in the suit, the plaintiff lawyer, John Mary Chukwukasi Jidobi, asked the court to issue a perpetual injunction restraining Jonathan from presenting himself to any political party for nomination or participation in the 2027 presidential poll. The suit also urged the court to bar the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from accepting or publishing Jonathan's name as a presidential candidate from any political party. Jonathan, INEC, and the Attorney General of the Federation were listed as the first, second, and third defendants, respectively, where the plaintiff asked the court to determine whether under Section 1, Subsection 1, Subsection 2 and 3, and 137, Subsection 3 of the 99 Constitution as amended, Jonathan is eligible under any circumstances whatsoever to contest for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. While he further sought 4 main declarations, including that Jonathan is constitutionally ineligible to contest or occupy the office of President again, that INEC lacks the power to receive or publish his name as a candidate in the 2027 or any future presidential election, and that both Jonathan and INEC be restrained by perpetual injunction from any such participation or recognition. The plaintiff also asked the court to direct the Attorney General to ensure full compliance with any orders issued by the court. Now, this Jonathan issue is very dicey. It has a legal angle. In fact, everything about it borders on the law. So I've spoken to a few lawyers about it, and why some are of this position, others are of another position. Now, I spoke to a lawyer who said, look, the amendment says, Jonathan, that you cannot be sworn in for more than 3 times. I went back to myself to read it, and I didn't see that. What I saw was that you cannot be sworn in more than twice. But the argument is that the law was made after Jonathan had exited from office. And on that basis, I now asked the lawyer, so does it mean that Jonathan can run for another 8 years? We got stuck, both of us. So if he says the law cannot be made retroactive and that he is qualified to run for 1 more term, and I said, so does it mean that he can also run for another term since the one that he had before was not caught by that law and all of that? So it's a very complex issue. Be it as it may, but my concern here is why like Bayo Ononoga said in one of his press statements, said, look, Mr. Jonathan, we welcome you, the president welcomes you, but be sure that you have your day in court. Going back to the court again. And a lot of people are saying, Jonathan come, Jonathan don't come. If I were to advise President Goodluck Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, I would just ask him to stay out of this. Fortunately and graciously, the man has not opened his mouth to tell anybody, I'm in for it. I'm going to jump into the fray. He's been consulting widely, consulting with PDP, consulting with ADC, consulting with family, friends, and associates, and all of that. It's only his aides, people close to him, that have said he's interested and all of that. But I think it is time for Jonathan to come out himself and tell Nigerians whether he's interested or not. 2027 is far away, it's about 2 years, but it is not early in the day for him to come out and say, look, this is what I want to be. And it's also important that I'm happy that someone has gone to court. At least the courts will have a final say in all of this so that the matter can be rested and we'll just move on.
All right. Well, a few things I need to interrogate and I would like us to find out is who Jide Obi is working for. You know, in that suit, he said, look, he's a Nigerian. I mean, if you talk about locus standi, he's a Nigerian. And if Jonathan wins the election, and he's likely to, that's what he said, he's likely to, it will affect him as a Nigerian, you know, especially if it's in breach of the Constitution. He's a constitutional lawyer. And if it's a breach of the Constitution, it affects him as a Nigerian. Of course, it affects all of us as Nigerians. Jonathan, former President, good luck, Jonathan. Some would ask, who is afraid of him? Now, it's interesting that this has been taken to court, you know, regardless of what camp this individual is from. Something in me tells me he may not be from the camp of the APC or the opposition, you know, the ruling party, as it were, who threatened by the re-emergence of GEJ.
That he may not be.
Yes, he may not be from the ruling party or doing it on behalf of the ruling party. It may actually be somebody within the camp of Jonathan himself wanting to get this out of the way. I mean, if you put this in court and the court rules on it, then you know whether he would run or not to run. I mean, if the court issues a ruling, it's a good place, it's a springboard.
For him to say?
For him to decide,
I'm out.
Out. Okay. Exactly. I think it's a viable springboard.
Okay. I think I'm also of the thinking that this guy might just be a lone wolf who is seeking for popularity.
Could be a lone wolf. Could be.
Just looking for popularity.
Could be.
But like you said, and I said too, it's important. It's interesting to know that this is in the court, at least before 2020.
Now, the issue I have with that is, we know how cases are dragged in court. I mean, 2025 is gone. Electioneering starts, campaigning starts 2026.
I think.
How soon will this be, will the ruling come on this one? If it doesn't come on time, if it comes when parties have, when people have been nominated to run for parties.
This case will be thrown out very soon at the High Court level. You know why? Now, he says that he's a constitutional lawyer and that if Jonathan wins the election, that it is going to affect him. Now,
as a Nigerian.
Now, Barrister asked him the other day, said it is one of the mistakes in our jurisprudence because he doesn't, the judge, like Omotosho said, in the case of the 5 people that went to court to say that the state of emergency in Rivers State affected them directly. You don't have evidence, you cannot prove. So Jidobi Ofo might not have evidence. Jidobi might not have evidence to prove that Jonathan's winning the presidential election will injure him directly, will affect him directly. It is absent in our jurisprudence, in our law books. He cannot prove it. He doesn't have evidence. So the court is going to strike out this case. In fact, at the first instance of first hearing.
You took it from my mouth, because that was actually what I wanted to point out. The court will ask him to provide how this particular
will affect him, will
injure him as a person. That was what
based on what Barrister Adams said,
and also based on what
on the judgment of John Omotosho, the 5 people that went to court, against the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State.
Please, the judiciary should interpret this very fast so that Nigerians will understand it, to avoid this back and forth we're having. That's all I can say. Because one thing is making the constitution a bit ambiguous and creating other loopholes for people to be able to navigate. Let them come up to say this is how it's supposed to be. Then also, when the man is talking about maybe Jonathan being able to become the president of Nigeria in 2027, I also I hope that that particular amendment that we have before the House, I'm talking about the electoral amendment now that says once the election is concluded, the swearing ceremony should happen already before going to court and all that will happen. I'm talking about giving certificates of return.
Yes, that's one of the amendments to what's in the electoral
act. If that actually to happen.
So that the person, you don't go to court with a sitting president.
God bless you for understanding. So I hope maybe we can fast track all this and make Nigerians understand where
I don't know how we got to this point because between 1979 and 1983, it was like this. Before the president is sworn in, the case must have been dispensed with up to the Supreme Court level. But the 1999 Constitution revised the whole of all of this, and that is why we are where we are. Because if you're a governor has won an election already, and you are going to court, he's been sworn in. You are going to court against the governor. He has power
too, and all that.
Yes,
and it's difficult to win against
an incumbent in Nigeria.
Oh, must we add in Nigeria?
Yes, in Nigeria.
All right, away from that, no fewer than 36,000 women in Bauchi have urged the National Assembly to pass the reserve seat, a bill to enhance women's participation in governance. The women under the edges of the Nigerian League of Women Voters submitted their signatures to the House of Representatives in support of that bill. Zainab Mohammed, chairperson of the League, said this on Monday in Bauchi that the organization conducted awareness creation activities to sensitize communities to the imperative of increased women inclusion in governance at all levels. Ms. Mohammed said that the consultations gained support among men and youth who endorsed the demand for reserved seats for women. She also noted that members of the League attended the public hearing organization by the National Assembly and submitted signatures collated in support of the bill. She further added that the group also encouraged women to muster courage and build resilience to actively contest political positions, especially at the grassroots. And now, first thing, the only thing I would say is we are Nigerians and we're trying to find a way to cut down on the cost of governance in Nigeria. Yes, I am a woman and I support this motive or this initiative, but I believe having another 108 seats added to the one we have already is going to make the number increase. And that also will be more spending on Nigeria. So if we're going to find a way now to say, we want to find a way to maybe take out some things from the already existing law that we have already, where we'll have the number of senators and House of Representative member and create maybe one seat for senators and one seat or two for House of Rep on the already existing numbers that we have already, then fine.
I think the only way to end all of this is divide the seats into two. Women take one, let men take one. There was this family that the woman said, look, we have equal rights in this family. And in the morning, she brought out the bill for the day, for the week, for feeding and all of that. The man said, okay, 50,000. The man brought 25,000. Kept on the table and left. The woman called, I asked for 50,000 and you gave 25,000. The man said, we have shared the bill now, equal rights, so equal expenses and everything. That's it.
I'll give my own 25,000 and you come back and cook your meal. We'll divide the sharing, the cooking of the dish, we'll divide it.
You're very toxic.
I'm not toxic. I'm not saying the truth, 50-50 motion. But that's not how we can go on, the trending stories. I have to go straight down to looking at the cover page of the National Dailies. Newspaper review is up next, and without wasting much time, we have the first daily, we have the Daily Independent, This Day, the Nigerian Tribune, the Nation, the Vanguard, and a whole lot more. And I would like to start off from the cover page of the first daily today. Beside the masthead, flood disaster, 3,000 displaced, 6,000 hit in Lagos. That's coming from Sowolu. And beneath the masthead, Nigeria must draft new constitution, Deputy Speaker Kalu. Aregbe to INEC, prove beavers, IREV work before 2027 poll. We have the banner headline, to be forgery allegation, Tinubu's minister under fire, faces sack calls. Writers to that, Atiku's aide to president, sack Najinam, let him face persecution. Obi, activists warn Nigeria's democracy at risk if fraud goes unchecked. Atiku's aide backs alliance with Obi as strongest opposition force. Reps push new law to regulate crypto, POS businesses. Wike to critics, you can't praise FCT, condemn Tinubu. Court asks to stop Jonathan from contesting 27 presidency. And then we have the bottom strip, which happened to be the last but not the least of the headlines. 2027, North will stand by Tinubu. That's coming from Barau. And those are the stories on the cover page of the first daily today.
All right, from the Vanguard newspaper, reform must translate to opportunity. NESG, tax stamp rollout could worsen inflation. Beer sectoral group. Pro-gay female archbishop. Nigeria's Anglican Church breaks from Canterbury. And we also have healing beyond headlines. Vanguard outreach restores hope for newspaper vendors, vulnerable Nigerians. All right, that's a good move there. And the big story on the cover page of the Vanguard. Federal highways of horror. Collapsed roads, making life unbearable for travelers. And then you have pictures of, collapsed roads there. This is what Nigerians are suffering. Yes, that's the Benin Sapele Road. Well, 2027 presidential poll. Court asked to restrain Jonathan. INEC. Boko Haram, waging war of evil, not religion. Irabo, ex-CDS. Nationwide strike looms as ASU, non-academic staff of varsities, issue ultimatum. And legal battle begins over minister's certificate. There you have it.
And let's quickly run through the Guardian newspaper with the window headlines. Dissent to president appointing INEC officials swells. Dissent to president appointing INEC officials swells. Certificate scandal, Mba behind my audios, Naji claims. How would that be? I'm just wondering. Awujale's 2. Over 30 aspirants screened as Mo jostle for throne. Now the big story. Student loan. Nel fund case as institutions hike tuition fees. Charges for profit. Term inflation to enjoy reforms. World Bank advises Nigeria. World Bank again. Nigeria's food security goals stalled by flawed procurement policy. Experts claim. 2027 Mimiko denies leading Southwest consultation team to woo Jonathan. Strike imminent as ASU mobilizes members, decries FG's inaction. U.S. pressure triggers FG, Senate pushback on alleged Christian persecution. Bandits kill one, kidnap two residents in Kwara State. Now, that's it from the Guardian newspaper.
And that's how far we can go on newspaper review, but do well to join Chikum and Moses for the newspaper analysis proper. And that will be on top of the 10 a.m. here on Voice of the People television. We'll go on a quick break and we'll come back. The first story of discussion will come up, which is the Southern Kaduna and Edo State youth protesting incessant insecurity, and they also call for government to intervene in this case. So we'll go on a quick break and we'll come back with dissect this.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
In a world where power shifts with every headline,
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People television. Don't just react, understand.
The limit, it's just the beginning.
The 2564 is coming up on Barney 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush?
glad to have you back. It's still VOP this morning. Youths in Edo State have taken to the streets to protest the worsening insecurity and frequent cases of kidnapping across Edo State. The protest tagged Walk Against Kidnapping in Eastern Land, Edo, began on Monday, October 6th in Eboma and is scheduled to continue on October 7th in Irua and October 8th in Uromi. In a trending video on X, formerly Twitter, protesters were seen carrying placards with descriptions such as "End Kidnapping in Edo" and "We deserve to be safe." One of the participants addressing the crowd urged citizens to take collective responsibility in combating insecurity, stressing that everyone must remain vigilant and report suspicious movement to the appropriate authorities. Meanwhile, despite efforts to suppress their protest last Wednesday and Friday over the destruction of farms and attacks on farmers by armed herders in southern Kaduna, a group of aggrieved farmers, largely made up of women, returned to the street on Saturday, dressed in black. They were joined by some men and children. They painted their faces black, holding leaves in their mouth and on the hand, and walked barefoot. The demonstrators condemned the destruction of their farms and the attack on farmers by armed herders operating with impunity. Upon reaching the palace, the protesters forced their ways in and also appealed to the traditional ruler to pressure the government and security agencies to take immediate action to stop the herders who are destroying their farmlands. We have with us in the studio Prince Francis Chilaka, a political and public affairs analyst, and also we have Mazi Amobi Heboro, who is a public affairs commentator. And joining us from Oka, we have Dr. Jude Micheta, a former MD and CEO of Anambra State Signage and Advertising Agency, and he's also an economic and political analyst. And also from Abuja, we have Edwin Adai, Executive Secretary, African Institute for Statecraft International, AISI. These are the gentlemen that will help us to dissect this story. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Prince Francis.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mazi Amobi.
Thank you very much.
All right, good morning, Edwin Adai, if you can hear me. All right, Dr. Jude Micheta, good to have you join today's conversation. Interesting. Let's start off with you, Prince Francis Chilaka. You've been in the North, and then you also understand how the North was before this particular time of the emergence of, well, I say the Maridine headers, the ones killing now, not the good ones, and the fact that people in Southern Kaduna, you know, there've been so much death from that Oxfam to talk about it. The whole community has been sacked. Farmers are no longer there in the farm. But when they decide to return back over the fact that issue of insecurity have reduced a bit, we're getting another news that the Maridine herders still destroy farmlands to the point that women are now protesting. In Edo State, people have already started to stage the protest bit by bit today in Irua, tomorrow in Uromi and Eboma to protest incessant kidnapping and insecurity in Nigeria. Please help us actually work around this. What does it really portend for Nigeria, a nation that celebrated their 65th independence, and yet we're having issue of insecurity being more like higher than it used to be before?
The world over, history gives us enough time. History prepares us for what has happened and for what is about to happen. But unfortunately, when you have a country or you have a system that those who run the system are not listening, they are not tapping from the wisdom of history, they make the same mistakes. Everybody in Nigeria today is on the edge, especially when it comes to the insecurity in the land. And this insecurity seems to have defied every protocol that you need to curb it. And then we ask ourselves, because history will always make you ask questions. And now the question we're asking is it that the federal government does not have the political will to do the right thing? Or is it that there are those who are behind this insecurity that are benefiting from it at the detriment of the larger society? What we see playing out in Kaduna, Kaduna has always been volatile before now, but you know, when you have a country where people are living or people have been forced to abandon their ancestral home and begin to live in IDP camps, and then government would come out and tell you, oh, we are in charge, we're in control, we have taken care of insecurity, and yet those living in IDP camps are not brought back home, then you know something is wrong. So we know that, yes, Kaduna, don't forget that the war in Kaduna has always been the Muslims and the Christians. It's been there. But it's taken a new dimension And that dimension looks more like ethnic cleansing. We don't want, it's like saying we don't want these people from particular, region, or people who speak particular language, or people who have a way of worship that is different from ours. And so when people come out and say that the war in Kaduna is not a religious war, I laugh. Because all the killings, 90% of the killings are centered around where you have Christians. So that's a big problem. Now, moving to Edo State, we remember a few months back, we had, I think, 14 hunters who they claim were hunters and they got killed and all of that. Nobody believes in jungle justice. Nobody should support jungle justice. But you see, when a child is pointing at a particular place, it's either the mother is there or the father is there. That's an Igbo proverb. And we know what that means. So, what we are having now, honestly speaking, I am hoping that what these small sketches of snippets of protests coming up, I hope it does not become something else. Because really, the truth is that Nigerians are tired. Nigerians have had it up there. Like I said, radio this morning, I'm one of those who used to like night traveling. I travel from Lagos to the north. And most of my friends, close friends to tomorrow, are northerners. I can't do that today. Even by air, when you travel by air, you are so scared. Even during the day when you travel by transport, by bus, you are scared. So something is wrong. And then government needs to be able to say, look, these are the perpetrators of this insecurity. Call them out.
I'm talking about calling them out. Mazi, let's get your opinion on this. Some persons will say we have names of people who are sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria being made available to the former administration, and no one actually did something about that. Also, we learned from the government in the Sahel, I'm talking about the Mali and all that, saying that very soon they are going to bring out the names of political elected persons or political elites who are the ones sponsoring issue of insecurity. The likes of Babagana Zulum of Borno State and also Hyacinth Ali of Benue State have come up to say that politicians and some other, let's say, civil servants are the ones sponsoring people who are carrying out all these killings and carnages here and there in their state. Why is it that up until today, government is yet to look into the names or the list and also bring to book people who are causing all this mayhem in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. The Hunter saga that Prince alluded to was, to me, a red flag. You know how the government reacted to it. Rather than the government taking up the gun and then dealing with the matter head on, they decided to play the politics of kidnapping and banditry and what have you. The governor, the governor even went to Kano, paid some money and all that, leaving the main issue. Now the thing is resurfacing. That is what it is. Because if Edo State government has taken up the gun very seriously and, put in place structures that, will stem the tide of kidnapping and what have you, perhaps we wouldn't have been seeing this demonstration now. So it's a red flag. That was a red flag which the government did not readily understood as at that time. Coming to the Sahel states of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, I think we said it on this table that there was need for that names to be mentioned so that Nigeria and Nigerians can take positive steps towards stemming the tide of kidnapping and banditry. It goes a long way to refocusing the government. And again, the government will have that political will. The political will is very, very essential. 2-3 days ago, the former CDS launched a book. That was the man that has seen it all. That was the man that was at the saddle. He alluded to the fact that many a times, he has to do certain things that were antithetical to the powers that be, many a times. So that tells you the interference of government in pursuing head-on this banditry and kidnapping. I think the government should take up the gun too. There must be political will. It's like being a governor, and when they bring condemn criminal for you to sign. You say you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you don't want to sign, you don't want to send people. Why are you the governor? If you are the president, you must take certain decisions. You know, I do not believe, you know, I've said it severally, I do not believe in non-kinetic, you know, approach to this thing. I believe in 95% kinetic approach to stopping banditry and kidnapping. This is the only way. This is the only way we can go.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mazi Amobihimbo. Now, let's go to Abuja, where we've been joined by Edwin Adai Edwin. Good morning, Edwin Adai Edwin. Okay, all right. We are yet to get connection with our outstations. Now, let me come back to the studio here. Mazi, in reference to what, Prince, in reference to what Mazi Amobi said, ex-CDS Irabo launched his memoir, you know, last week. And at that event, President Goodluck Jonathan spoke. He said, look, that when he was in government, you know, he did everything he could to push back Boko Haram, and that he was thinking that, okay, at that moment, at that event, he said that the former president, Muhammad Buhari, was nominated by Boko Haram as their negotiator when they were trying to negotiate with Boko Haram and government and all of that. And so that if Boko Haram nominated Buhari as their negotiator, he was expecting that if Buhari comes in within 6 months, that the whole issue of Boko Haram will be done with, but that it didn't happen. After that said, after Jonathan said that, now the North has kicked against what both Jonathan said and what Irabo said. Now, Irabo said, look, Boko Haram is fighting a very dirty terror war that is not even religious. So what would that be? You understand everything that happened. Jonathan appointed Ihejirika as chief of army staff. There was a pushback. They said, remove him because your people are killing my people and all of that. In the meantime, the thing is spreading from the north down south. But basically, the whole of the north is still enveloped more than insecurity, by insecurity more than the south here. So why is it this pushback back and forth by the north, and you want to solve a problem for a certain group of people and they are saying, no, don't solve our problem for us? What would that be? What is the cause? Is it religious? Is it ethnic? Is it political? What do you know? Let us into all of that.
It's just that we come up as people, as Nigerians, and we begin to shout, one Nigeria. We begin to shout, we're united. But the truth is that we're not united. We're more divided than we're united. We place so much sentiment. We bring in so much sentiment in whatever we do as a people. And it is this sentiment that is holding us down. You see an Igbo man in government embezzling money. You say, let us persecute him. The Igbos will say, no, he's our brother. Leave him. It happens in the north. It happens in the west. So, you cannot have a solution as long as people are sentimental. As long as religion, ethnicity plays a role. These are the two monsters eating up this country. I mean, we all knew what happened during Jonathan's regime. Nobody, there's no Nigerian that doesn't, except those who don't like history. And we all know how the North came out and said, these people you are killing are our own. Initially, they thought it was something that was just going to be, like my kids will say, police and thief. But it's not. And that's why we say, when you go and do a test on yourself, and there is a slight dot of cancer, you don't go home and sleep. What do? You look for it. You go to the source and remove it. So the northern leaders, to a large extent, are also the problem. They did not do what they were supposed to do at that time. The same thing that has happened in North that is consuming the north in terms of banditry and all of that has consumed the southeast in terms of IPOB. Because those you have as leaders are not doing the right thing. When they're supposed to take certain hardline decisions, they don't take it. So when you don't take hardline decisions over something that is small, it grows and becomes a monster.
Exactly where I would like for us to, dwell on a little longer. Because ex-CDS, Lucky Rabo, in his book said, look, he talked about political will. And he served under Buhari. And, pointing out that there is a lack of political will in dealing with insurgency in Nigeria. Where does that put us really?
It puts us in a tight corner. A very, very tight one. It simply means that those who are meant to take those hardline decisions are not taking. Take for instance, somebody wake up from sleep and he says, "Oh, the solution is let us rehabilitate, reintegrate those who have been arrested." And you forget that those who have been arrested, they carry guns, they were armed, and they had one mission, and that mission is to kill and decimate. And then you say you want to rehabilitate them, you want to integrate them. Then why do you have prison walls? So the same thing you're doing in the north, you're not doing it in the east. And I am happy. You know why I'm happy? All of us are eating the breakfast. Because nowhere is safe in this country anymore.
Oh, well. Mazi,
let me, tangentially help on that one. You see, that is the problem with the political elites and the military intelligentsia. When you are in office, you do not see clearly. When you come out of office, you begin to see clearly.
Is it that you don't see clearly, or you are hampered by certain forces?
Moses, I do not know what the problems are, essentially. But that is what we have in this country. You see, politicians, when you are no longer in power, you see clearly. Like some of them now are now advocating for INEC to be this, INEC to be that, INEC to be this, preferring solutions that will make INEC work and all that. When they were there, when they were beneficiaries, it was difficult. When you talk about reforming INEC, they take you to the cleaners and all that. So the important thing is that those in authority should be able to have integrity. Particularly the military that are prosecuting this war. Of course, we know about war economy. People will benefit. Either way, you can buy machinery, you can buy this, you can buy that. So there are people benefiting from war economy. And more importantly also, the banditry and kidnapping are equally commercial ventures these days. So you have to have a purposeful leadership that can, put paid to this, monster, like, let me borrow word of Sri Lanka. So it is very important for the political elite, because perhaps the military intelligence also takes directives from the political elite in terms of, where to go and where not to go. Mm-hmm. So if you ask me, I will, verily push the blame to the political elite who gives directives and all that. There must be political will to be able to do this. I do not think that this is insurmountable. I do not think so. The Nigerian military are known to have, delivered when it mattered most. But coming to this country, it becomes a Herculean task for them to, I do not believe so. So we need to, interrogate that political will and see how we can, ginger our political elites to take the right decisions.
Now it seems everyone is writing books. I mean, we've gone into writing. Babangida, every other person now is just putting out books there. But anyway, let's look at let's X-ray the presidency's reaction to U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, who said that Christians are targeted in the killings in Nigeria. Well, the presidency have reacted that no, that is not true. Is that reaction what Nigerians are looking for? Because some Nigerians truly believe that Christians are targeted in the killings taking place. I understand that in some of the killings, mosques are attacked as well. Muslims are killed as well. But some Nigerians, especially in the northeastern part of Nigeria, believe that Christians are targeted in these killings. What other reaction would you expect from the presidency?
I do not expect anything less than what they have said. As a pushback
Does
to
that
that,
make it hopeless?
Yes, as a pushback to that, immediately some Reverend Fathers came up to also give their own side of the story. That it is preponderance of Christians that are, killed in this menace. The argument that some Norths were touched, some Muslims were also touched and killed and all that, can hold water. But when you look at it on a scale, more Christians have been killed from what a lot of Reverend Fathers, church leaders have said. So the important thing is not for government to begin to deny, let government own up and then try to, put in place things, measures that can stem this tide. Both Christians and Muslims are Nigerians anyways. And I do not think there is any part of the constitution that presupposes that Nigerians should be killing Nigerians or foreigners should be killing Nigerians and all that. So, of course, the relevant sections of the Nigerian constitution has made it clear that the provision, the welfare and the destiny of Nigerians are critical. Okay. So if you do not protect Nigerians, I wonder what you are in government to do. That is the bottom line.
If we manage again, because you called Nigeria before now happen to be part of countries of particular concern, within the US, and then it took us some time for us to leave that. Now, if Nigeria is to go back again to becoming the country of particular concern again, what would that make us be? I'm talking about Nigeria here and also a stand within the international space.
Of course, you really have to put your house in order before you can begin to, pontificate in the international community. I think we have a lot of serious problems at home. So going to international community to begin to look good or launder your image does not serve the problem. I want to draw it back. I want to, draw it back to the family setting. You cannot have problem in your family and you begin to go to another place to mend fences between a husband and a wife. It's ironical. So importantly, we should deal with our domestic problems first before stepping out to the international community to be looked at.
Thank you so much. Right. Let's get you join the conversation, Dr. Jude Mecheta. We're talking about insecurity, the fact that some persons are protesting, youths in Edo State are protesting, and also women in Kaduna too are protesting the incessant insecurity in Nigeria. We need to get your opinion on this. As you also react to this question, we're getting a call from members of Congress and also the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, talking about or pushing to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Let's get your opinion on this. And what does this really portend for Nigeria?
Thank you for having me. Let me start with the protests. It's good to protest to show that we are angry about certain things that are happening to us. The women in Kaduna protesting, the guys in Edo protesting, just to show government that we are angry or that they are angry about what is happening to them. But does government really listen? Do they really understand? They are in a very safe place. So most of the time we are talking to people who are deaf and dumb about what happens to us, what happens to them. I live in an environment. I stay in Anambra, and I can tell you what it means to stay in a place where there is insecurity. I live in an environment where a lot of kidnapping, a lot of insecurity happens across between Anambra and Imo. You can feel it, you can see it. So if you are protesting and government is not listening to you, or you think that government is going to do anything for you, I should think that the communities, it is time communities themselves to sit up and plan what they do. If it means they are going to get arms by themselves and go to the bushes and get people out Because there's nothing you can do. That protesting, these kidnappers don't fly in. They come. They either live with you in that communities, you know them, the kidnappers, we see them and we know them. So why don't we deal with them directly? The women in Kaduna are protesting. I understand. They are angry. They are angry. They are protesting. They are angry. But when you solve the problem, the government you are protesting to, do they really understand? Do they really know what it means that people are angry? People are hungry. People are being kidnapped. You are protesting. Will government understand? Do they know? They don't, because they are staying in safe positions, in safe areas. So they don't understand what we are doing. So your protest falls on deaf and dumb ears and eyes. So I don't really see what the protest will eventually end anybody, except maybe the international community will need to see, oh, there is problem here.
And that was why I asked you about the push for Nigeria to be a country of particular concern again. You know, that particular push has been there. Recall that some would say it took the likes of Pope Leo XIV to talk about the killings in Benue State and Plateau State before the president could decide to, you know, chime in and give them directive to fish out the perpetrators. So if Nigeria at this point is being pushed for that to become a country of particular concern, what does that portend for us?
Now, for the fact, you know, the Benue killing that brought the president to Benue, the killing was so much that they pushed. There wasn't any riots. There was no riot in Benue that brought the president to Benue. The killing was so massive that the president was really happy, you know, was really touched. I think, just like one of the contributors was saying, we need a really political will. There must be a political will that the military must be giving orders to take real action against this insurgency, against this kidnapping, against this terrorism. There must be a real reason why the army should. We have the soldiers, we have the infrastructure to deal with this thing. So why are we not dealing with it? So the pushback, the protest is good. Let it make the government to really move on and say, look, it is time for us to do something. These people are being really tortured. Let us do something about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jude Miteta. Thank you for your submission and contribution. We also, you know, encourage gentlemen to still be with us as we move on to the second topic of conversation, where we have the Anti-Graft Commission set to investigate Ganduje over $4 billion inland port. Do well to stay with us, please.
Well, thanks for staying with us. Now, the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission, PCACC, has launched an investigation into the alleged diversion of more than 4 billion naira of state funds into the Dala Inland Dry Port. The probe centers on claims that that contracts worth billions of naira for infrastructure was awarded at the port when Abdullahi Ganduje was governor of Kano. Now, shortly after the state's 20% equity was converted to the former governor's family in 2020, the transaction was set to have effectively edged Kano State out of ownership and installed Ganduje's children as directors and shareholders of the multi-billion naira investment. Well, by the time the contract was awarded, the state reportedly had no stake in the project. Seydou Yaya, chairman of the PCAC, said the investigation was triggered by petitions filed against the alleged misappropriation. He explained that some individuals of interest had been invited, with one person arrested and later released on bail after providing key information. The PCACC chairman added that the matter will soon be charged to court as a prima facie case has been established. Well, we do have the gentleman with us, Prince Francis Chilaka, Mazi Amobi Iheburu, and Dr. Jude Emecheta. Well, we appreciate you, gentlemen, for staying with us on the program. Let me start off with Prince Francis Chilaka. Alhaji Ganduje is in the news again. You know, issues of corruption, monies, embezzlement here and there, and he's still occupying a vital position in the government and basically chairs the board of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria right now, a position he went into from being the chairman of the ruling party. Do you think this will make headway?
I think I give it to Ganduje. It seems to be a cat with 9 lives. Because everything that has been thrown at him in terms of embezzlement, in terms of corruption, doesn't see the light of day. Even when we talked about... It
doesn't see the light of day.
Even when we talked about seeing a video clip of him stashing dollar into his agbada, that was while people in Kano started calling him Gandola, But it simply shows you the flaw in our pursuit to curb corruption. Once you're in power, and once you are, you have the, like they'll say, the cover of the president, nothing touches you. And it is really, really sad that, this is a government that says they want to fight corruption, even though during the campaigns, President Bola Tinubu never mentioned that he was going to fight corruption. But we expect that as a Democrat that he is, there are certain things he should dissociate himself and his government from. And one of such is when somebody in the cabinet is accused of corruption, I think that the thing the president should do is to allow the person to face, the EFCC, claim yourself, and then you come back. Step aside. But in Nigeria, we don't do that. So the first one was the issue of Gandola. Another one was the one about 53 point something billion of local government funds. Then this one now. And then you ask yourself, is it just this? This is the only man in Kano. Something is wrong. And our politicians they're not thinking out of the box. You just come to power, you want to amass so much wealth, for what? And yet, you go to the same Kano that was a governor. The children are out of school. There's hunger and poverty in the faces of the children. We're not even talking about the fact that there is no health care. There are no roads. So we need to have a system that allows the people to really hold their leaders accountable. Okay. This idea of being protected by, the wings or the shadow of Mr. President has to stop. It is not helping this country to move forward. So as it is now, this is about 3 or 4 issues on him. He should resign. But Nigerians don't resign. We never resign in this country. We die here, now we die. You must die for that office. Right. And then you ask yourself, what is government doing? The issue of data aid, up till now, nothing has come out of it. So it's like you have a government that is very keen on protecting, what I would call, these are my own. You cannot touch them. Touch not the anointed. I mean, I really don't know where Nigeria is headed, honestly speaking.
Well, that's the big question. Where is Nigeria headed, Mazi Amobi? Where is Nigeria headed? I always want to talk about perception, because perception is reality. The way people see you determines how they want to relate with you, how they want to interact with you. And, excuse me, this administration has been out there trying to get investors into Nigeria. And back home, we see how things are done. It makes one want to ask if truly these would-be investors, are they seeing what we are seeing here? Now, I understand that this is in courts. I mean, this will be challenged. It will be challenged in the coming days. His innocence proven, or whichever way. But in the meantime, we see an individual who has had allegations rest on his shoulder for quite a long time, but he's still occupying vital offices. FAN, chairman of the board of directors of FAN. That's an important institution, don't you think? Now, Prince Francis Chilaka mentioned Betta Edu. We've also had instances where some people in the president's cabinet have been fingered for being involved in corruption. We've had the president's, Man Friday, Femi Gbajabiamila, fingered for corrupt practices as well. Betta Edu is on one side, and a few others too. Yahya Bello is on the other side. He's still a member of the party, still attending APC Governors Forum and the rest of them. A few of these individuals, and very recently, Uche Naji, accused of forgery of certificates, which is corruption too. What do you think this administration should do to make itself look better, especially in the eyes of the world?
Thank you very much. It was a former chairman of APC that said, join us and all your sins will be forgiven. I think that is still more relevant in today's political discourse. Gandugate, came up, and then we did not hear anything again from it. I think if you ask my candid opinion, this one also will go the same way. Because Ganduje is a prominent member of the ruling party. And I do not see this probe, getting to the end. It must be for the optics, if you ask me. And about how we perceive the administration, your guess will be as good as mine, because it happened. Look at what happened during Muhammad Buhari, the finance minister. What's the name of that lady? Kemi. The whole thing was so hot that she has to throw in the towel. And then ever since, we have not heard about her. The Betta Edu that you rightly referred to, we've not heard anything about her. Just that she has, been relieved of her position and all that. The most recent is Uche Naji. I think the president have sufficient time to deal with these, scandals that has besieged his administration. Okay. Recall also that he himself had this type of issue, whether it is Chicago State University or Chicago University, and then it came up that he attended Chicago State University and all that. So what are we talking about? The administration should have taken up the gun very early. By now, it's either they suspend Uche Naji after doing their own investigations, because just like you rightly said, he's not guilty until proven otherwise. So, but it's a dent on the administration. Okay. It's a very big dent on the administration. Thank you very much. Sorry, before appointments, there is this noise that the DSS, you submit here, this thing, DSS will screen. What were they screening? If you cannot, it's even at our own levels of companies, we do this screening. If you have so much in doubt about any certificate, the institutions are there. Okay. If you write them, within 2 weeks, you get a reply.
So what should be done to the Ganduje issue now? Because that's the issue we are...
They said they are in court. We should leave it for the courts.
Okay.
And see what happens from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Mazi. Now, let's go to Oka, where we have Dr. Emechita. Dr. Emechita, we are discussing the issue of the corruption allegation against the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC. Now, he still has one that's not been sorted out, the issue of stuffing dollar in his Bariga and all of that. While he was national chairman of the party, he went back and forth with the Kano State Agency and the EFCC, who had the jurisdiction to try that case and all of that. Here we are again, the same Ganduje, 4 billion naira. And the analysts here, my colleagues, have pointed out series of, infractions by members, people who served in this particular government. Not just in this government anyway, but APC all through. Kemi Adeosun, former finance minister, current Uchennaji, Beta Edu, Yaya Bello, and all of that. All of them belong to the APC. And it is now curious, to understand that this is an administration, this is a party that crested to power on the mantra of integrity to fight corruption. If you look at all of this, how much intentionality do you think that APC has in fighting corruption? I mean, I don't want us to isolate this administration. I want us to look at it wholesomely as a political party. APC, they came into office with the mantra, we are here to fight corruption. How far have they gone in that fight against corruption in the past 10 years? Have they been able to achieve anything between them and the other party? What will you say? Which one will you say did better in the fight against corruption? Let's compare notes. Let's compare notes.
Let me start with Ganduje.
Okay.
I still understand that Ganduje is being still investigated.
Okay.
The story of the 4 billion is still being investigated. All the past stories about Ganduje, the ones in court has not been really adjudicated on yet. I also don't want to join the issue of profiling APC as a party. If you want us to profile Nigerian politicians as corrupt, yes, I will join you. They profile only APC as a party because they came into governance.
I'm sorry, Dr. Emecheta. This is the party in government. We are looking at the party in government.
I know.
Okay.
And their being in government does not take them away from. There's no angel in this country in politics. If you tomorrow, if you bring in PDP tomorrow, they would act the same way APC is acting. So I'm looking at it politically. APC is doing the same thing every other Nigerian politician will do when they get into power. So putting the APC on the front burner is okay, because eventually tomorrow most of them will leave APC and join ADC. They will do the same thing in ADC.
I'm sorry, Dr. Emecheta. I hate to butt in at this moment, but I want us to get something clear. Now, in 2003 or thereabout, but during Obasanjo administration, he established the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. By the time he left, Yar'Adua came, Jonathan came, and between 2011-12, when APC was formed, up until 2015, I mean, it was a sing-song, PDP is very corrupt. It's a very corrupt party. People in government are taking money that belongs to Nigerians here and that. We have a Mr. Integrity in the person of Muhammad Buhari. He did it before, and he's coming back to do it. So that is why I want us to profile APC as a party. How far do you think they have gone in fighting that anti-corruption war through which they crested to power in 2015? In the past 10 years, what have they done? Do you have instances where they said, look, this person is corrupt and we prosecuted, and Nigerians got justice and all of that? We are not trying to tarnish anybody's image. We are trying to look at a party that came to power, on the mantra of, we have integrity, we are going to fight corruption. How far have they gone in that fight in the past 10 years?
Yeah, I think that was where I was really trying to go to. First of all, I wanted to bring the whole politicians into the same basket, then isolate APC, to really go ahead on that matter. Okay. Now that I have put all the politicians inside the same basket, that they are all corrupt, then now APC as a party that is now in Buhari came. Let me tell you one. Buhari, I voted for Buhari really because I saw him as as a Spartan person who was going to come and really give Nigerians a headway and fight corruption. Somebody who was going to come and deal with corruption like nobody has ever done in Nigeria. That was the same way I liked Peter Obi, that Peter Obi was going to come and deal with, the system. Now Buhari came and fell ill for almost 1 year, and Buhari was not there. Government fell into the hands of some few people, and I'm not sure Buhari recovered from that illness all through. So he was never in charge. Whatever happened in his government, everything was corruption became something that was manifest, and he couldn't take charge of it anyway. Now he left. Tinubu came in. Tinubu came and bought his way through. He bought his way into government. And of course, if you bought your way into government, it's difficult for you to manage people. Now I had about Abatuche Naji's own problem yesterday, and I was marveled. I thought that by now he would have been told to please resign or suspended, so that government can begin to look at what he's doing. Now, Ganduje, his own problem, now that he has been investigated for so much amount of money, he would have been asked to. Ordinarily, he would have stepped down if he was somebody that has integrity. It was okay, I stepped down, investigate me, if I'm found guilty. That would have shown there is some decorum in what government is doing. There are so many other things that are happening in this government that people ordinarily should have said, oh, no, if you do this. You mentioned Better Idu. She came out to say that she was innocent. She tried to prove that she was innocent, that she was only purely a political thing that happened to her. I don't know about that, because I tried to follow it up to find exactly what happened to her. But the intrigues in Nigerian politics, don't even know who is being haunted, who is not being haunted. So in her own case, I can't really understand what happened to her. But there are so many other indications that has happened in this government that I thought that people should have on their own. If you are, don't also forget that when people are also accused of certain things for political reasons and he refuses to step down, this is Ganduje's own problem. He was a governor. If there are reasons why that 4 billion inland port, if there are good reasons, as a governor, there are good reasons to move one project to another. There are some good reasons sometimes. Governor will move money from one project to another. If it is genuine that he didn't embezzle the money, but he used it for the good of the states, and you are trying to investigate him and accuse him.
All right then. Thank you very much, Dr. Jude Meteta. I'm not quite sure I understand your take on the matter. Your intervention has left me more confused, but thank you for your contribution. Let's go to Abuja, where we have Loknan Dumbin, who joins the conversation. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. I'm just going to put it out straight. Let's have your take on this. I do believe you've been following the conversation. Ganduje in the news again. Okay. Monies, corruption allegation leveled against him. What's your take on this? A broad view.
First of all, let me say, it's good to see you again, my man.
Thank you very much. Good to see you too.
As you can see, I've been working out.
It's good to stay fit. Yeah. Indeed.
You work out?
Yes, I do.
Okay, absolutely great. So, don't you mean Daddy Dollars or Gan Dollars? Is that the person you're talking about?
Well, we know him officially as Gandhi.
Well, that's what he's famous for, isn't it?
Mm.
So you see, this brings me to one point. Time and time again, we get incidences like this, where people are caught on the wrong side of the law, doing things that normally should land them in jail, and for some reason they get away with it scot-free, and they live to steal another day, if I may put it that way. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's like vinyl on a turntable that's broken. It happens again and again. And like a gentleman said a while ago, a prominent politician once said, come to our party and your sins are forgiven. And that's what's playing out here. Nobody ever gets punished for these
When you say
things.
it happens over and over again, yes, we've seen it happen over and over.
Exactly.
Should we accept it as part of us? Should we just learn to live with it?
But you know, if something happens over and over again, it begins to feel a lot of, the public is so easy to manipulate. It starts to feel like it's normal. These things are not normal and normally should not be tolerated. But because it's being condoned, because it's being tolerated, it keeps on happening over and over.